chance you can do something amazing to feel your passion blazing and shine.
Paint with every vision, dance in new directions, explode to new heights in your mind.
I will rise up with you today.
Lift up my voice
And boldly say, we are the ones we've been waiting for.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to AGNT Speaks. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. You are here for this divine appointment today to have a conscious conversation about what is up within you and what is up all around us and how we can activate spiritual principles, use them in our lives, and use them for the social good to co-create a world that works for all. So it is my delight. I am Reverend Erin McCabe, and it is my delight every week to host you for this conscious conversation. If you have not seen our broadcast before, you can check them out on YouTube or on our Facebook page at AGNT Speaks. So hop on Facebook and put in AGNT Speaks and you'll see our past broadcasts. It is an incredible opportunity to come together with conscious leaders throughout the movement of New Thought and to ask them about their spiritual practice, to invite them to support us and to unfold questions around our experience in the human condition and the spiritual condition. So we host a panel of AGNT leaders each week, and that is your AGNT Leadership Council led by the Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith. And last week we were getting to have a conversation with a friend of AGNT Speaks. So definitely consider checking that out, sharing these podcasts, sharing these video casts with family members, friends, your spiritual community. We also have a Zoom room. So if you've not been in the Zoom room yet, you can get up close and personal. You can post your questions, your comments. You can go back and forth between others in the Zoom room on what you think in real time as we're discussing these issues of what's up for you, what your challenges are, what you need support with. So consider hopping into the Zoom room, and hello to everyone that's in the Zoom room right now. So we are here for this conscious conversation. And this week, we've been talking about gratitude. Obviously, Thanksgiving's coming up. If you live in the United States of America, our Thanksgiving holiday is in about a week. And so we're talking about the idea of gratitude. And have you really looked into your life and your practice as far as gratitude to really see what you're doing in your spiritual practice and where gratitude comes into play? So a lot of times we think of gratitude as just being, I need to generate my thankfulness, or I need to send out a thank you card, a thank you note. I need to express my gratitude. We know that in New Thought, the gratitude practice is one of the highest, holiest practices to have. But today I want to talk a little bit about what takes us out of gratitude and looking into what takes us out of gratitude on a real practical level, just really looking at the human condition and what kind of jacks us down as far as where we feel like we are or how we express and experience ourselves on the gratitude spectrum, because I'm all into authenticity and showing up as we are. So what brings you out of gratitude? What brings you down from kind of a high level of resonance or a high level of feeling a full-bodied experience of, I feel appreciative, I feel grateful, I feel thankful, I feel like I'm kind of just in the flow of life, and pops you into separation thinking, duality, polarization, all of those things. And how can we really use that? Oh, good. Thank you. Aletha, thank you. She put distrust in there. Ooh, that's a big one for me. Like, if I don't feel like I can trust someone, it starts, or a system, right? It starts eroding at my gratitude. Instead of becoming grateful for something, I feel critical. I feel kind of divided or pulled. So these are really key things to look at, because that's a space to upgrade our gratitude practice, to look at the triggers, to look at the things that bring us down, and to then ask ourselves the question, what does the gratitude practice look like in relation to this trigger, or in relation to this ego mindset or a relation to this concept of separation, criticism, distrust, whatever it is, you fill in the blank. And how can I use this practice to evolve myself? So let's take that example of distrust. So what does that bring up for you if you don't have trust? If you feel like you cannot trust someone, what does that bring up for us? And how do we then show up differently? And how can we use gratitude to make a shift? So one easy answer is that we can look at the places in life where we have trust, and we can be grateful that we know what it feels like. We know what honesty feels like. We know what trust feels like. We know what confidence in a system looks like. And then we can also take a look at the next level. So when I don't have trust, what does that bring up for me? In our comments section, Mary Lou shared that brings up fear. When I can't trust, I have fear. Why do we have fear? We have fear because we have lack of control, right? When we can't control something or we don't know what to expect, we have fear. So how can we use the practice then to hop in there and interact with this concept, interact with the psyche, interact with this experience? Well, what we can start going to is, what do we know? Even in the places where we cannot trust or where we have fear, we can start to have an understanding. So say, just for an example, someone has showed you that they don't have a practice of honesty, that's just not part of their conditioning or not part of where they are. What can you trust? You can trust what they have shown to you. You can trust that you have at least a basic understanding of how they will show up. And then from there, from accepting that, from being in acceptance with that, with an open hand, knowing that it can change, knowing that people grow, knowing that relationships can transform, you can then work with that from a place of trust. Because what you can trust is that there's not accountability there, or that there's not going to be honesty there. And that puts us back into the driver's seat. That allows us to stop this part of the mind that just says, that's wrong and I need to throw the whole thing out, or that's wrong and they need to change, or that's wrong and I am discontent now because it's not how it should be. And instead, you can begin to have gratitude for the fact that you have awareness, for the fact that you have information now, for the fact that you can show up differently to that relationship, that circumstance, that you actually don't have the lack of control that you think you have, because now you have intelligence, now you have information, now you have insight. And when you bring those things together with the spiritual practice, you also have wisdom. And that wisdom is what guides us into expanded ways to have relationships. So what do I need to shift so that I can stop expecting or forcing or wanting something to be different outside of me, a person to show up differently, right? I can stop wanting that. And instead, I can start calling forth in me the discernment so that I can show up according to my practice and according to my principle with healthy boundaries in place. And when we make that shift, a funny thing happens. It's like we go from being in fear about not being able to trust or feeling betrayed or whatever it is, you fill in the blank. We move from that into gratitude for wisdom, gratitude for our awareness, gratitude that we are humbly accepting what is and allowing ourselves to be informed by that so that we can show up differently. And the hard part is that means sometimes we need to shift relationships, or sometimes we need to create other systems and look at healthy boundaries. And a lot of times we don't want to do that. So it's a lot easier to stay in that negative concept or stay in that polarization or fight with what is and project or blame or feel like a victim than to move into the practice and breathe into the gratitude that is available to us. So that is our invitation, everything can be deconstructed in this way. Just about everything can be looked at in a way that if we just shift our perspective, move into acceptance, we will find, as Alith is saying in the chat room today, we'll find out that it's liberating. It's liberating. We think that it's only going to be liberating if we fix it, if we fix the system, if we fix the person, if we fix the relationship. That's the only way we can move into gratitude for it. That's the only way we can move into liberation. But anyone that has done family systems work, anyone that has worked on these spiritual principles and applying them to their own lives and their stuck parts, recognizes that no, there is another layer of what's happening with every family system deconstruction, with every relationship. There is moving into what is an acceptance, and your mind rearranges everything so that there is fertile soil for gratitude. It is the human condition that just holds on and doesn't want to look and doesn't want to rearrange, doesn't want to change. That is the condition for fear, for suffering, for discontent, for lack, for victimization. Another way of looking at it is when we, someone in the chat room says, change my thinking, change my life. That's right. So when we look at the experience of what pulls us into separation or into lack of gratitude, we do have to have almost like a radical practice of accepting what is, being with what is, and stepping out of the role of criticizing or perpetration, victimization, us and them, and into a practice of wisdom, insight, intelligence. Now, it's uncomfortable because it doesn't mean we can always change things, and it doesn't mean that we can always shift the external so that we can feel gratitude. But what it does help us do is rearrange the container so that gratitude can emerge from that experience or that relationship, not in response to it, right? Not in response to it. So it's not metaphysical malpractice where we're saying, okay, something awful happened, now be grateful for it, darn it. You got to just step into that, be grateful for it. It's not saying that, but it's recognizing that there are other factors at play, and that when we experience these high divine faculties, and wisdom is one of those faculties, when we experience the high divine faculties, gratitude is the natural result. Gratitude is the natural emergence. It's not something that you have to make happen. You can have wisdom. You can be present to the fullness of life, the fullness of intelligence, the fullness of, substance and expression. And that in and of itself creates gratitude. So they're kind of different realms of gratitude. This is different than the human realm of gratitude, where I'm grateful for something, for an object, or for even some relationship that's fitting my idea of what I want and what I need. This is another take on the gratitude practice. Another piece is this. We often have experiences where we think, I didn't sign up for this. This is not what I want. This is not what I was expecting. And the idea emerges of the hidden curriculum. So I was just having a conversation with someone about this the other day, the hidden curriculum, because I watched them apply their spiritual practice. They had an experience and it did not feel good. It was in human terms, you could say that there was, inappropriate action or not high level thinking. You could say that someone else was experiencing their growing edge and maybe didn't even know they were needing to experience their growing edge. And so this person was kind of the recipient of that action. But what the person did was they applied their spiritual practice. And so they were able to see that I'm not just here in this experience for what I thought I was here for. I'm not just showing up to this because I signed up to get this workshop or this experience that I thought I was, you fill in the blank. I thought I was purchasing, or I thought I was attending, or I thought I was registering for, or I thought I was signing up for, right? And you could even relate this to a relationship and a marriage, right? I didn't get what I thought I was signing up for, man. I thought when we stood up there, this is what we promised and this is what we said, but this is what I get. I don't know. This is not what I signed up for. Each one of us has the choice to either be with that and argue with it in the moment, in the years, in the future. And some people do. We all do on some level, right? Just keep arguing with it. It's not right. It should change. It wasn't supposed to be like this. This isn't what I signed up for. And not much gratitude comes from that. We've all been or seen someone that has actually let life wither away because they're stuck in that place. And try as you may to get gratitude from that position of being stuck, feeling victimized or feeling captured by something that you can't control and it's not going the way you want. Good luck with the gratitude practice. It's not that it can't happen, but it's not a spontaneous emergence. So what do? We look higher or lower. We either go deep and find out what the grounding is, what the roots are, or we go high and we invite in the holy practice, right? And when we do that, it's almost like we get it from both ends and we, from center to circumference, encapsulate something with the practice. And when we do that, we find out that there is a hidden curriculum to everything. And that in each experience, in each moment, in each divine appointment, there is something for us there. There is something happening that is beyond the surface, right? That is more than what I thought I came for. And when I say yes to that, when I say yes to the hidden curriculum, and I say, okay, I'm not just here to have this experience. I'm not just here to be bullied or to be criticized or to be put through the ringer with someone that doesn't know what honesty looks like or doesn't honor agreements or doesn't know how to show up as a mature individual, whatever it is. That is what it is. It's good to address that on a human level. But boy, oh boy, does it get sweet when we ask ourselves, what does this have for me? Why is this in my life right now? What is being triggered in me? And like, show me on a deeper level, on a kind of a universal level, why I am a part of this. Why is this part of my experience? Maybe it's recurring, maybe it's not. But what is the gift for me here? That's the hidden curriculum. And when we recognize that when we come, I think, onto this earth plane, when we come into these earth suits and we have this experience here and now, when we really realize that, and we realize that everything is not always what I think it is on the surface, there's more here. And we say, show me, let me get it. Let me see, what does this have for me? Why me? Give it to me, please. Then gratitude is the result. Not because we're thankful for the thing, sometimes we can demonstrate that and sometimes we can jump into that. But it's not saying like, hey, you were mistreated or you're in a system that doesn't work. Let's be grateful for that system. No. It's saying, I get it that there's something more for me here. I get it that there's a reason why it's me involved in this experience, why it's me having this, and I will pull forth the wisdom from it. And when we have the wisdom, when we have these divine faculties awakened within us, gratitude is literally the natural result. There is no pushing, no pulling, no trying to get there. It's just like, you can be in the middle of a divorce and be so grateful because it's like, I am so grateful. I am seeing with clear vision. I am so grateful. I am liberating myself and liberating that person from the confines of the captivity that we're holding each other in, whatever it is, you fill in the blank for your experience, but we become liberated. And when there is liberation, there is gratitude. When there is love, wisdom, intelligence, imagination flowing, all of those things, there is gratitude. I have a comment in the chat shared, and I appreciate this one. It says, in retrospect, my capacity for gratitude has deepened through adversities. I thought it was through adversaries, but either way, I have found the will and the strength to move through. So when we have adversities, we can actually have gratitude as a result, not as a result just from the effects of that thing, but from the effects of our spiritual practice around it. So haven't you found that to be true? So if we can rearrange our minds, and when we're finding ourselves in places where the kind of gratitude floor has just dropped out, where we're on an elevator going down fast, part of the practice is to take a step back, to really take a raw and authentic and vulnerable look at what is, to allow and accept what is, and to be grateful that we have the wisdom and the awareness to see it, and the wisdom to honor it and to believe it. Again, holding it high, knowing that anything can change, not holding someone captive to our limited judgments or ideas of them or of a system, not creating from that place, but being willing to bring that into the practice so that we know our awareness, we acknowledge our awareness, and we're not sitting there playing a game with ourselves going, I can't see that, or it's not really what it is. I'm not willing to really see something for what it is. We could go this or something better as we move forward, but we can actually change our thinking around something, bring in the practice, look at the hidden curriculum, be grateful that we have the ability to think and process and to see, and then start setting up the healthy conditions within ourselves and pulling in that work, getting the strength, getting the endurance ready to do that spiritual work. That's not always easy, gosh, but when we do it, we're grateful. We're grateful that we've done it, right? So with anything that comes to us, can we invite in this gratitude practice? So we're not just feeling like we are a recipient of our lives, but we can feel our growth and be grateful that we are evolving, that we are waking up, and that we are co-creating not only our own lives, but a life that works for all. If you have any feedback, any thoughts, any questions, anything that you want to explore in future AGNT Speaks conversations, please post them on Facebook, post them in the chat room, and we will make sure to get to them. We are here to have conscious conversations with you each week. We are here to engage in the spiritual practice. We're going to close with one question from the Zoom room today. So this has been a great opportunity to just interact with those in the Zoom room and just activate this conversation. But we have a deep question from the Zoom room around the idea of gratitude, the hidden curriculum. And it is a question about depression. So what if you're deeply depressed? What if you're deeply depressed? And so how do you work with that? I just talked about this. Well, actually, we talked about this a little bit in our last broadcast with Inga Canfield. So go back and definitely check out that podcast, because we really both kind of vulnerably took a look at our own experiences in the human condition and how gratitude, I don't even know how to say how we were delivered into gratitude, even in the midst of depression and history of suicide in the family, all those kind of things that just make you feel stuck and like, what is there for me here? But one kind of just piece to start with when it comes to depression and gratitude is this. If you're in depression, you care. You care about something. If you didn't care, you wouldn't be depressed. So if you didn't feel a higher calling or have a higher vision for what life could be or what you could be or how you could feel, You wouldn't feel depressed. You would just feel numb or just feel neutral or feel checked out. You would just show up in a way that you are just checked out. But depression is a sign that that life is in there and it's working in you and it's reaching. Depression is a sign that inside, deep within, you are alive and you are well and you are asking for more. In fact, you are screaming for more somewhere within you. And that we can be grateful for. We can be grateful that we care, grateful that we feel. You can't be a depressed person, I don't think, without really being a person that has big feelings, right? I mean, that's what depression is. It's having big feelings around something. So the first little step or tool with regards to that question, I think, is just honor yourself for being a person that cares, a person that feels, a person that loves. I remember, I don't remember who it was that shared this quote, but it really stuck with me. It was someone who said something like, it was like a Wayne Dyer or Deepak Chopra, but it was something like, if you're on the planet and you're not disturbed, you're not awake. Like there's so much going on that could send you into a tailspin of depression or feeling stuck or feeling afraid, that if you're not at all aware of that, then you're totally out to lunch. So the human condition and the human self, it's surprising everyone is not just bedridden depressed with what we're looking at on a day-to-day basis in the news and in the world, and the restrictions that somehow we've created in our systems on the spirit, right? So normalize that a little bit. Take off the judgment. That would probably be the second tool. It's like, take off any judgment around that and start looking at the beautiful qualities that someone that is in depression, or you, me, whatever, when we're in depression, that's a sign of these beautiful qualities, and focus on that rather than focus on the criticism, because the criticism is about thinking you're not fitting into the world. Well, if you don't fit into the world, good. Be grateful for that. If you don't fit into the world, don't try to shave off and cut down the parts of you that don't work in the system, that don't feel supported by the system. No, support yourself with radical self-compassion while you build up the endurance to then connect with other people and connect in co-creating systems that work for the human spirit. I can get incredibly depressed in 2 seconds when I look at how we deal with wellness and healthcare in our community. The fact that people struggle with getting healthcare or mental health support, whatever it is, at the times they need it the most, when they're down and out. And those are the times that we put them through these insane systems that they have to try to navigate. I mean, that just knocks me off my feet. Like, what kind of a society, what kind of a compassionate community of beings are we, that we don't take care of each other, that we don't have systems that really support our humanity and our divinity? But I can recognize that when we're in these places, that we're aware that we are not reaching our potential. We are aware that we sometimes create hell on earth rather than heaven on earth, and that we have the ability to create heaven on earth. So that's not to overwhelm oneself when they're in depression about having to take on co-creative abilities. Your work when you are in that state of depression is to nurture yourself, to address yourself with radical compassion in the eyes of a divine parent, to really hold yourself, to love yourself, and to validate yourself, to just kind of look out and go, yeah, of course this is going on, or that's going on, or whatever it is. Of course you're depressed. Now what are we going to do to take care of you? And just open the windows to gratitude a little bit here and there, wherever you can, when you start to see, like, oh, this means I'm a deeply feeling and loving person. Oh, this means I have visions for higher expressions in our systems or in our communities, in my relationships, and start giving voice to that. Start making more space for that. Start adding some gentleness to that, so that there's not attachment. And that's the other piece, is just The third step I would say is just being in non-attachment about it, not labeling, just letting it be what it is. I'm learning about myself. And not labeling as far as labeling, oh, I'm just a person that's depressed, but yes, labeling as far as identifying the thinking. So we can sometimes use just that big label, depression. But if we can actually identify what we're feeling, I'm grieving, or I'm feeling resentful, or I'm feeling, whatever it is. When we can start labeling that rather than lumping it all together in this heavy burden, this heavy blanket, then it can start to unravel as far as the overwhelm in moving the energy or resolving those feelings. It's not as awful in my brain to say, I am feeling abandoned, as it is to say, I'm depressed. Like, I am depressed. What can I solve in here? Well, here's that heavy blanket and it's loaded. But if I say, okay, I'm feeling abandoned, then I can turn that around and start working on those energies within myself, my awareness around it, my opportunities around it, my support around it. So start doing kind of the micro labeling so that it breaks it down and is a little less overwhelming, and certainly getting support. But just honoring and acknowledging that that's part of the human condition without attachment, so that it may be here right now, but I'm open to it not being here in the next moment, and really asking ourselves, is it here now? And acknowledging when it is and when it isn't. But sometimes we get into such a pattern, such an ingrained routine, that we create it in the moment, even if it's not happening, because we just think we are. We have the label, and the label is so strong that we forget, well, in that moment, I wasn't feeling like that. Oh, there was a little oxygen there. Oh, okay, that actually felt good. And then just allowing the gratitude to emerge from that. So there is so much more to the practice, but I hope that this conscious conversation today has supported you on your spiritual journey and in your spiritual practice, because we are here to bring principles into action and bring action of spirit and action of our highest visions into form. Thank you for joining me today for AGNT Speaks. You'll be able to catch this later or share it with others if you check out the AGNT Facebook page or the YouTube channel podcasts later on. We are, again, led by Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith on this amazing team of the AGNT Leadership Council, and we are here to serve this global movement of high and holy thought, gracious thinking. And so thank you for being here for this mindful moment today. Please feel free to check out agnt.today to get more information. And we are hopping into Giving Tuesday and Gratitude Week. So if you are grateful for AGNT, consider signing up for an auto give, whether it's $5 a month or a subscribing membership of $25 or $50 a year. That is part of your spiritual practice of giving and receiving, part of circulating your tithes. But think about what it is for you today. If this is something that you appreciate, if this is something that you see and you think, man, I want that in the world, then think about the alignment with your spiritual practice as far as giving, and hop on AGNT today and do what is in your heart to do to make sure that your living legacy of being on this planet included not just spending money at coffee shops and on things for your home and your own life, but that actually generate what you are here to activate on this planet for yourself and for other beings and for all the creatures of the earth. Namaste, friends.